So here is a mind map in the shape of a tree to help you plan a French essay for VCE or IB. For any topic, you should ask yourself these 4 questions. Who am I as the writer? So who am I as the author of this text? Who am I writing for? So who is my audience? What am I writing about? What is the topic? And finally, why am I writing about this? What is my purpose? So if we answer these 4 questions, we should be able to decide between kinds of writing, text types, and tone, formal or informal. Consider that there are variations even within informal, formal. For instance, if I am writing, say, a message to my parents, it may not be exactly the same as if I'm writing an email to my friends, although both would be informal. And of course, we need to think about the content, the ideas. So we need to have a range of different ideas, at least 3 to 4 different ideas. They need to be, of course, relevant to a topic. Examples are great. And finally, perhaps we need to think about pros and cons, especially if it is evaluative writing. So when we've got all this, we should have a plan. We should have the plan of our essay. So we're going to move up our tree and then we get to the trunk. In the trunk, I have listed different things that I think should be present in any text. They are not in any specific order. And then when we keep going up, we get to the branches. And we are going to see the subdivisions in the branches. So we've got 4 big branches. The first one is grammar. And I called it grammar plus because these are grammar that would be great to have, but they're not absolutely necessary. But if you can use some of these, that will definitely, add to the complexity and the range of grammar in your text. Then we've got the content organization, so that is organizing our ideas in our paragraphs or in our text overall, the complex sentences, and the range of vocab. So as well on vocabulary, let's look at it more specifically. We want, if we can, to have precise adjectives. When I say precise adjectives, I mean by that you could say, oh, le gâteau est bon, le gâteau est délicieux. But bon et délicieux are fairly common adjectives in French. What about if we said that le gâteau est succulent, le gâteau est sucré, le gâteau est moelleux? Adjectives that are less common and adding more meaning to, or simply are more specific. Idiomatic expressions. Idiomatic expressions in a text of between 300 and 400 words, I would argue that 2 or 3 maximum, not more than that. 2 or 3, d'accord? After that, you're overdoing it. And it's not natural. Topic-specific vocabulary. Well, that's quite obvious, but if you're writing about the environment, you probably want to know words like le changement climatique ou le réchauffement climatique or things like this. And culture appropriate, what I mean by that is, say you're writing for a French-speaking Belgian audience. In Belgium, 70 is 70, or 90 is 90. So taking these differences into consideration, or if you're writing for a French-Canadian audience, they don't say aller faire les magasins, they would say magasiner. So for example, adapting your vocab like this. So that's for the vocab. Then we've got the complex sentences. Complex sentences are subdivided into 3 different branches. Complex relative pronouns. You know all the lequel, laquelle, duquel, dont, où. It's really useful. Comparisons. Comparisons, you might especially use them if you're doing something that's evaluative, but that can be in any text as well. C clauses. C clauses are great to express conditions, possibilities, And also in terms of grammar, they really help you use a wider range of tenses in your writing, especially the one with the plus que parfait conditionnel passé. It's not usually easy to use a conditionnel passé in a text unless you see clauses. Content organization, so we've mentioned that before. We really need to organize our ideas in the text, and for that, take any good book and you will find a good list of them. Grammar. Alors, Grammar Plus, as I said, these are things that you can, should, but don't necessarily have to use. You may not use all of them in all your texts anyway, but expressions of time and duration, present participle, subjunctive, infinitive constructions, the passive voice, the direct, the indirect speech. These are great things to add to your writing. Alors, the branches, and especially the top of the branches, you may not use everything in every single text. That would be difficult, but that's definitely things that you should consider. So remember that this tree is to help you plan your writing. I'm going to do a video on proofreading, and I'll put the link on top of this video now.